the path can be a path of suffering or of joy. Depends on you. Without the knowledge of karma and reincarnation, it may become or be a path of suffering. If we don't know cause and effect, then we are constantly asking ourselves, how can that be, all that suffering in the world? And we become unable, or we are hindered in helping others, because these questions are not solved, are not answered for us. So this is also why here on the path we talk about cause and effect, and the cause of suffering, the cause of joy. And it is always your own action. Man himself is the creator of suffering or of happiness. Now, you can shorten the path if nirvana is your goal. If your goal is to be born happy, protected, loved, to live happy, protected, loved, and then to die happy, and then to reincarnate and return in a new life, happy, to live happy, to die happy, you can have that. You can also escape the circle of life and death, the wheel of life and death, samsara, not to return anymore, to remain in nirvana. Choice is up to you. Masters and adepts renounce nirvana. They remain with us and clad themselves in bodies, limit themselves actually compared to the awareness of nirvana, and they are here to help us on the path. We spoke about the eternal God principle, harmony. Harmony must be in the universe, and when we disturb that harmony, we will be pushed, often very painfully, into the right direction. And so I warn always to say, well, that's their karma, we heard Lanu. They deserve it. If we do that, if you do that, you will reap exactly that karma. So that you learn that you are here to help others. And I repeat, not to load the entire burden of suffering of the world on your shoulders. This is why there are zillions of shoulders. For the moment, 7 trillion. Or 7 billion shoulders. If we don't count the spiritual shoulders. So, if you want to carry the suffering and the burden of the world on your shoulders, it will crush you, it will kill you, it will destroy you. That's not your purpose in life. And this is why you need the teaching and the path to understand where your place is and where you can help. Now, there is no happy event, no sad event that cannot be traced back to your own activity, to your own being, to your own behavior in this or a past life. And only a philosophical spirit, dear friends, who would see no other cause of that, would have a right to say no, karma and reincarnation doesn't work. Or I should repeat, only a philosophical spirit who sees another explanation, who thinks of or presents another explanation for the suffering in the world, would have possibility to say no, karma and reincarnation doesn't work. I have never heard anyone who explains to me suffering. I only hear from Muslims and Christians who insult God. Can you imagine that? Insulting God? That everything is God's will. Oh, really? And that there's only one life. It's God's will that a pervert like Hitler, or also like George Bush, we can put them in the same, or other criminal rulers, live happily. And at the same time, a little child dies in Africa of AIDS, or pedophile priests get fatter and fatter, and at the same time 25,000 children starve to death each day, you will say that's God's will. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. So, now, why don't we remember past lives? I don't know if we spoke about that, but it just comes to my mind. Reason is that a normal person would not be able to develop normally if he would be burdened by that immense memory, immense burden of memory by past lives, what he did. My teacher said to me, Lanu, if you would know what you did in past lives, you would die on the spot. So somebody would be tragically irritated, dear friends. He would identify himself with his former existences. He could not stand the depressing effect, the impact, which would be in his awareness by a past burdened by guilt, dear friends. Now there would also be emotional pain because he is now in a relation with loved people who were before different. Now, for instance, siblings or father and daughter, mother and son, friends of same gender, may have been in past lives lovers or married people. See? And therefore, now, why does that happen? Why do we come always together in different bodies and different relationships, as friends, as lovers, and that? Because the Divine Source wants unconditional love, super or beyond personal attachment. See? So the first step to unconditional love is conditional love or conditioned love. That's how it works. So therefore an adept, a liberated being, loves a spoon the same way than a sick person, the same way than a table. He loves everything because he knows and is aware of that everything is God in manifestation. Do you understand that? So if you still love this and that not, if you still love this one but you hate that, then you are under the illusion of separation. And as I always say, and as the Book of Light teaches, at the root of each crime is a feeling of separation or being separated. The truth, or no, the reason for that is that we are only aware of 1/7 of our beings, of the physical body. The Book of Light teaches man is 7/7. It means man is a divine spark surrounded by 7 sheaths of energy. Physical, etheric, emotional, astral, spiritual, mental, and so forth. 7. And we are caught in this physical body and we identify ourselves with it and we suffer, and rightfully so. Because we have fallen from the spirit and we learn by that. Separation of sexes, we come to that hour. Will not be always. Sexual reproduction will end soon. And we will return to our hermaphroditical androgen state of awareness and being. And then one with the divine source. So, but, dear friend, the ego, you see, the term ego is mostly connected with egotism, only self-centered. In the Book of Light, it is not the definition. For us, we don't mean the lower personal by ego. For us, the ego is the link between personality and the monad and the God spark. It's the reincarnating divine part, the eternal man. By man, I don't mean yet now physical man, because we derive man from the Sanskrit manas, the thinker. So by that I mean a male and a female being. See? So the eternal man knows, has the knowledge of his entire past. You see, when you are enlightened or you become enlightened, you have more and more memory of your past life. We can take it then. It won't maybe harm you so much anymore. It won't. And suddenly you understand why you are here. To return fully aware to the source. See, the purpose of life is to have complete awareness of our divinity in physical matter. That's why we always clash together in single persons or nations or during war or in love and hate and so forth. All states of attachment. Now, could we, as an ego, as a divine being, without being disturbed by our impure personality, could we be? This is possible in meditation. Then we could reflect all knowledge. See? But if you identify yourself with your sex, you already have a problem, which leads you away from your divine self. Now, high developed beings, adepts and so forth, they see their past like an open book. It happens during intuition, for instance. And the time will come when you remember, when you are ready to take it. When you make the lower personal a servant of the higher self. Until then, you are still bound by sympathy, antipathy, yes or no, love and hate, duality, and so forth. And only by those, you can say, energies or awarenesses of duality, you can conclude to past lives. It's rather imperfect, but that's all there is. Unless you walk with us the path. You meditate each day. You let go of your lower self, which so often hindered you. And by letting go of it, by observing the arising and passing away, you remain. And you become master of your lower self. Now there are abnormal cases where you can experience somnambulic. You know what that is? So they speak in sleep. They speak strange languages, foreign languages, or that they could not know. I heard of an experience in Texas, a housewife. She spoke English. It was the only language, English. And she was hypnotized. She said, "Oh, I work on the pyramid." "Oh, really?" said the hypnotizer. "Then speak to me in Egyptian, but please in ancient Egyptian." And she spoke in archaic ancient Egyptian. The Book of Light and the Path teaches us, dear friends, to us now invisible worlds. Etheric, astral, mental, causal, until up to the world of intuition and beyond to nirvana. See, let me finish this talk here with the nirvana principle, or mentioning that it is totally different to what even some Buddhists may think what it is. They think nirvana is elimination, wiped out. Yes, nirvana means wiped out, or destroyed, or eliminated. But they don't understand what is eliminated. Only the transient form and the attachment to the transient form, to body, emotion, mind, soul, even to spirit. So when you become detached from all these arising and passing away illusions, then you are free, and that is nirvana. It's not a state of being. No, excuse me. It's not a location. Not a location. It's a state of being. No? It's the highest state of being that you can achieve. And the unfortunate Dalai Lama teaches false Buddhism. He rapes and mutilates the teaching of the Buddha by saying the Buddha taught there is no self, there is nothing. If there's nothing, why the entire discipline? Who detaches from what if there's nothing? Dear friends, can you imagine such a VIP Buddhism, such a Richard Gere Buddhism, I call it. So, now it means, nirvana means that the lower principles are erased, eliminated, wiped out. You're free from them, from those lower principles, from those impermanent illusions to which the normal person is attached, with which the normal person, or with whom the normal person identifies himself. That's the suffering. Attachment, the cause of suffering. Be detached. Where can you be detached and yet live in the world? If you meditate every day. It is taught in divine message from the true God in that book, little book. It's called Soul Breath Meditation. And by letting go what essentially you are not, you become God.